One of the questions being asked at the moment is, where is Iran's bomb? Where is Iran's uranium? And, it's as if we're standing on the edge of a crater left by a £30,000 American bunker buster, but at the edge of a strategic abyss. Because that bunker buster will only go down 200 meters, and you need to go down 260 meters. I think I'm right in saying that. So the United States and Israel have just conducted the most audacious aerial bombardment of Iran's nuclear infrastructure since the JCPOA was signed a decade ago. Yet the haunting question hangs in the radioactive air: where is the uranium? It's not just a rhetorical question, a rhetorical flourish, it's the literal heart of the matter. The Americans and the Israeli may have destroyed buildings, but did they destroy the bomb? President Trump hailed Operation Midnight Hammer as a triumph, claiming Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan were absolutely and totally obliterated. But what if these were empty stage sets? What if Iran had already evacuated the contents that mattered, the 400 plus kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%, just a hair's breadth from weapons grade uranium? This was, after all, telegraphed warfare. The American and the Israeli threats had been blaring for weeks. Trucks were spotted days before the strikes at Fordow and Isfahan, sealed tunnels, cooled cylinders, hidden vaults, and still America struck the buildings, not the material. There's a fellow called Richard Nephew who knows more about uranium than most of us know about our own bank accounts. He said bluntly, we don't know where the material is. So isn't that a bit absurd? Iran's uranium stockpile is now not only enriched to 60%, it's mobile. Stored in powder form in large, easily transportable cylinders, it could be driven off-site under cover of darkness and into a clandestine facility. It doesn't take a genius, only a Toyota pickup and a flatbed. The International Atomic Energy Agency, despite its best efforts, has been denied access to key sites, including mysterious tunnel networks near Natanz. Satellite images show construction, fortifications, the unmistakable signs of a regime preparing to vanish its assets underground or scatter them across new, undisclosed locations, hiding it under the sink. And let's be frank, Iran is not new to deception. The uranium mines in the past for years ran covertly by the military under the guise of civilian oversight. In 2003, the transparency policy turned out to be more illusion than substance in the, what was it, Gachin uranium mine. There's a long paper trail, or rather a scorched earth policy of misdirection and misinformation. And the logic behind the strikes, the Trump strikes, is at best desperately optimistic. If the goal was to eliminate Iran's ability to make a bomb, then destroying empty buildings is equivalent to burning the bank but letting the gold walk out of the back door. As Seema Shine, formerly of Mossad, admitted, they have enough enriched uranium somewhere. Yes, and this war then is starting to look less like a chess game and more like a rigged game of hide and seek. Bomb first, verify later, declare victory regardless. This isn't strategy. This is spectacle and stupidity. A military operation that doesn't eliminate the core threat may do worse than fail. It may provoke escalation. If Iran has relocated its uranium, it may now accelerate weaponization in clandestine sites beyond the reach of inspections and diplomacy. And according to David Albright, even if the program has been set back, it could be reconstituted within months. The knowledge, the centrifuges, the motivation, they all remain. And meanwhile, the IAEA is blinded. Inspections have ceased because Trump pulled out of that. The world is flying half blind into a nuclear storm, hoping the target was struck, while the evidence suggests it slipped through our fingers. So what are we witnessing? A triumph of military precision or a theatre of political panic? The images are striking, dramatic. Smoke rising from craters, satellite maps flashing red, politicians applauding their own resolve. But the central dilemma remains unresolved. Has Iran's nuclear threat been neutralized or merely driven underground? If uranium is still there, and all the serious analysts suggest it is, then this was not a disarmament, it was an advertisement for Iran to go deeper, darker, faster. And this is what happens when policy is driven not by strategy, but by spectacle, driven not by strategy, but by a man in a wig or a bad comb-over. In the end, This is less about victory than a question mark writ large in fire and steel. We bombed what we could see, but the true danger was always what lay hidden. And so the fate of the Middle East, perhaps of non-proliferation itself, now turns out not on how well we bombed, but on how well Iran hid their uranium. If we think the war has ended, we are deluding ourselves. It's only just gone quiet, just long enough for something darker to grow in the shadows. This, I fear, is not the end of Iran's nuclear program. It's the program to its reinvention. It's the prologue to its reinvention. And unless we pair force with wisdom, diplomacy with verification, rhetoric with realism, we may look back on these bombings of madness not as the solution, but as the spark. This history will record as one of the darkest moments that we have yet suffered. Where we're playing with fire that can destroy the world.